Going really deep into the world of super AI. You know, that idea that keeps popping up everywhere. AI that's actually smarter than us humans. You've asked specifically about some of the big names in the field, like Sam Altman and Geoffrey Hinton. So we're going to look at what a large language model had to say about all of this, and also look at some of Hinton's recent ideas on where AI is headed.
It's amazing to think that something that used to be pure science fiction, robots taking over and all that, is now a serious topic in the tech world.
Yeah, like we all grew up with those sci-fi movies. But it really feels like we're getting closer to that whole robots becoming smarter than humans scenario. And that brings us to Sam Altman. He's someone who's really pushing the boundaries of AI with his company, OpenAI.
Right? And what's really interesting is the timeline Altman's talking about. He actually believes that we're only a few thousand days away from super AI, which he defines as AI systems that are significantly more capable than humans.
Mm.
And this urgency that he's putting out there, it kind of adds this extra layer of weight to his whole argument for things like WorldCoin.
Oh, WorldCoin. That's his iris scanning technology, right? The one that's supposed to create a proof of personhood. But how does that tie into super AI?
Well, Altman sees it as a way to ensure a more equitable distribution of AI's benefits, especially as we move into this new landscape where AI is becoming more and more powerful. It's basically a way to make sure everyone's on board, so to speak, so no one gets left behind as AI starts to really change things.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just about creating this super powerful AI, but also making sure it benefits everyone, which is a whole other can of worms, I guess. But going back to the AI model we use as a source for this deep dive, it painted this really vivid picture of what super AI could do. It talked about revolutionizing industries, solving all these problems that have been stumping us for ages, and even making major advancements in healthcare and environmental science. It all sounded pretty
It's
utopian.
easy to get caught up in the excitement, right? The
Mhm.
potential benefits are mind-blowing when you really start to think about it.
Totally. But even the AI model itself acknowledged that there's another side to all of this. It brought up some pretty serious concerns about control issues, ethical implications, the potential for job displacement. I mean, what happens to all of us if machines can do our jobs better than we can? And then there's the whole societal impact of such powerful technology. It's almost like it was giving us a warning.
Well, it's a really crucial reminder that any technology this transformative comes with inherent risks. It's like a double-edged sword. And this whole idea of our creation surpassing us, becoming more intelligent than their creators, isn't new. It's something we've been exploring for centuries in literature and film.
It's like the classic Frankenstein story, right? Creating something powerful without fully understanding the consequences.
Exactly. And the stories we tell often reflect our deepest anxieties about the future. I wonder, have you ever come across this theme in a book or movie that really stuck with you? It's something to think about as we delve deeper into this topic.
Oh, there are definitely a few that come to mind. But before we get lost in science fiction, let's bring this back to the real world for a minute and talk about someone who's been making headlines with his own concerns about super AI. Geoffrey Hinton, often called the godfather of AI. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? The very person who helped build the foundation for this technology is now expressing serious doubts about its future.
It is quite a turn of events, isn't it? And it raises a really important question. What does Hinton see that maybe the rest of us haven't fully grasped yet? At the heart of Hinton's concerns are these large language models. The very technology that he helped to create, it's these models that are able to process and generate text just like we do, and they're evolving at a pace that's making a lot of people nervous. He actually made this really interesting comparison. He likened the situation to aliens landing on Earth. But get this, people don't even realize it because these aliens speak perfect English.
Whoa, that's a pretty wild thought. It's like they're blending in seamlessly. But what is it about these large language models that has him so worried? I mean, we use them all the time now. They don't seem that scary.
Well, think about it this way. A large language model is trained on this massive amount of data. Books, articles, code, you name it. And it uses all of that data to learn these really complex patterns and relationships in language. And that's how it's able to generate text that's often indistinguishable from something a human would write. But what Hinton's really worried about is that as these models become even more sophisticated, their ability to manipulate and generate information could have some seriously unintended consequences.
So it's not just about them becoming super intelligent, but also about how that intelligence could be used or even misused. That's kind of unsettling.
Exactly. Hinton is particularly concerned about the possibility of these models being used to spread misinformation, create deepfakes, or even develop autonomous weapon systems that operate completely outside of human control. He's basically sounding the alarm and saying, hey, we need to be incredibly careful about the guardrails we put in place as we develop this technology.
It's like we're giving these incredibly powerful tools to something that doesn't necessarily share our values or understand the complexities of the human world. Kind of like giving a chainsaw to a toddler. Maybe not the best idea.
That's a pretty apt analogy.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to that core question. Should we fear or embrace super AI? It's clear that there's a lot at stake here, both in terms of potential benefits and potential risks. It's a really tricky situation.
Yeah, it feels like we're walking this tightrope between excitement about all the amazing things super AI could do and this underlying anxiety about what could go wrong if we're not careful. So how do we even begin to navigate this? It's not like there's a roadmap for dealing with super intelligent AI.
You're absolutely right. It's uncharted territory.
Wait,
And I don't think it's about choosing one side or the other. It's not about being all fear or all excitement. What we need is a balanced approach. We need to be realistic about the immense potential of super AI to solve some of the world's biggest problems. But at the same time, we have to proceed cautiously and develop some really solid ethical frameworks to guide its development. Otherwise, who knows what could happen?
so excited but cautious and definitely prepared. It sounds like we need to be ready for anything.
Precisely. And what's really interesting is that even with all of his concerns, Hinton hasn't given up on AI entirely. He still believes that we can use it safely and ethically for the benefit of humanity. He just wants us to be smart about it.
It's not like he's saying shut it all down. He actually left Google so he could speak more freely about these issues, which makes me think he really wants to be part of finding solutions. He's not just complaining, he's trying to make a difference.
I think that's a really important point. His actions definitely underscore the urgency of this whole conversation. He's basically saying, hey, this stuff is amazing, but we need to be incredibly careful here. It's a wake-up call.
It's like he's challenging us to step up and make sure this technology serves humanity rather than the other way around, which is a pretty daunting task, but also incredibly important.
Couldn't agree more. We're at a pivotal moment, and the choices we make now will have a huge impact on the future. It's a lot of responsibility.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like we're standing at the edge of something huge, something that could change everything. It's both exciting and scary all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, for sure.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive into super AI, it's really opened my eyes to the possibilities, but also to the potential dangers. It's not a simple situation, that's for sure.
So where do we go from here? What are the key things you think our listeners should take away from all of this?
Well, one thing's for certain, super AI is on its way.
Yeah.
And it might be here sooner than we think. Sam Altman's prediction of just a few thousand days is a pretty bold statement. And then you have someone like Geoffrey Hinton, who's been at the forefront of AI research for decades, raising some serious red flags. It makes you stop and think.
It definitely does. It's a reminder that we can't just sit back and be passive observers. We have a responsibility to shape the future of this technology. But how do we even begin to do that?
I think the first step is to understand the dual nature of super AI. On the one hand, it has the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. But on the other hand, it poses some very real risks if we don't manage it carefully. It's like walking a tightrope. We need to be aware of both sides.
So awareness is key. But what can we actually do? It all feels so big and complex. Where do we even start?
I think it starts with simple things, like educating yourself about the technology, thinking critically about the ethical implications, and having open and honest discussions about the potential impact on our lives and on society as a whole. Like the conversation we're having right now.
It's not just about the tech experts. It's about all of us being informed and engaged.
Exactly. And remember, there are people out there like Geoffrey Hinton who are dedicated to finding solutions, to ensuring that AI is used for good. It's not an impossible task, but it requires all of us to be aware, collaborative, and committed to ethical development.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So maybe the takeaway here isn't to be paralyzed by fear, but to be energized by the challenge. We have this incredible opportunity to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I want to leave our listener with one final thought. We've talked about the potential, the risks, the ethical considerations. But what about you? What concrete steps do you think we should take to make sure super AI is